guys, welcome into another episode of Sound Supply. My name is Eric, product specialist here at TOA Electronics, and we're going to do something a little bit differently. We got Andy back. What's up, Andy?
What's going on, everybody? How's everybody doing?
Except this time, Andy's going to be asking me questions, and I will give you the best answers as I possibly can. Once again, guys, quick homework. Sound Supply every single week. We try to release these on Mondays. LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. Those are the three main ones there. And, make sure you're following us. Subscribe, like, comments, whatever you guys got. We are doing this for you guys, so please let us know what you want to hear. Without further ado, Andy, let's get into it. We got a topic for you guys. IP and more specifically IP speakers, right?
Yes, sir.
So Andy, ask away. Let's do this.
All right. Kind of feels weird. I'm on the other side of the scale now. All right. So just to put a little bit of information out there, everybody knows we have the IP SC15 that's out there, and it's an intriguing little unit. So I kind of wanted to pick your head and throw something at you and see what you got, man.
Okay, let's go.
So what do you feel are going to be the changes as far as the installation goes regarding IP speakers now?
Great question. So the way I see it is IP equals simplicity, right? It's the one cable run. And as an integrator, you're talking about a huge difference from analog. Less cable runs. It's going to be a single cable going from unit to unit. Less interfacing, right? These are essentially direct connect type situations with cat cable. Less equipment to maintain. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So I'm going to stick with that answer of simplicity and for integration.
Awesome. So now going into less equipments, what are we cutting out of the equation now with IP speakers?
There's a couple things. The one thing that comes to mind is an amplifier, right? An amplification type. And don't get me wrong, there might be some scenarios where you need or IP solutions because they're limited by the power coming into it, and how much they can actually output based on the PoE coming in. So yeah, you might need a high power amp for a lot of different scenarios, but you don't need one. I mean, everything's powered over PoE, so you can eliminate amplification. These are all going to be networked via a switch. So there's going to be, a central communication type hub, and it's going to be easily accessed, with your computer, Mac or PC, could be, in some cases, an iOS device or an Android device, and you'll have full control right there. So yeah, in a typical installation, an amplifier is the one thing I can think of. Andy, is there anything else you can think of that might be taken away?
Well, we got the nice thing about this unit also is that you can actually store messages. So back to
that's another point.
Data, it's another nice feature that the unit has. It's kind of a message repeater in one as well. So
so with a lot of these units, there's a lot of built-in functionality that would traditionally require more hardware, right?
Yeah.
Like the EV20R is an example where you might not need that. Our IP horn unit actually has a built-in storage where you can store 20 messages.
Yeah.
And if that's all you need, then you're good. You don't have to invest in another unit or invest in more hardware. It'll just do it for you. Okay, cool, man.
All right. So now coming down to networking, applications, and equipment, what does this all do for the installer? Will you need an installer with a better skill set, same skill set? What do you think about the installers?
It's a good question. I mean, there is going to be a learning curve, regardless when it comes to working with IP. I know, before I came to TOA, IP was not something I was, fond of. It was more analog type systems, stage audio, concert, whatever. So yeah, I mean, okay, but once you get it, and then once you embrace it, I think that's the right word to use.
Yeah,
it's super easy, super simple. And then you keep bringing in maintenance and integration and things like that. Once you guys get it deployed, the maintenance aspect to be able to access a system from another location, that's another thing we talked about last time, is huge, man. You don't have to go on site. You can literally trace signal flow from start to finish, all remotely. I mean, this is all benefits of IP and networking. So, there's going to be a learning curve. okay, hopefully you're willing to take the step and learn what you need to learn. But once you get in it, I think the flow from that point on is going to be very simple.
Well, it's kind of like the world of electronics. You know, every so often you have to upgrade yourself and make sure you get better with what you're working with. Because, I mean, we have wireless, you know, now data.
Yeah, you have to evolve, and you have to change. I mean, technology is created for our benefit, but I think the barriers of that are the learning curve. I think that's the biggest part. Is, well, you know, guys are so used to using this for so many years. Why fix it if it's not broken?
Exactly.
But that's not the point. The point is that we can make it much simpler. Yeah, and it could be much more flexible, where in the long run, you're actually saving more time and work, you know, down the road. So,
all right. So it all sounds like it's all going uphill. Well, I kind of wanted to close it with, where do you see the future of all of this going? Because now, like you said, you're eliminating equipment, ease of installation. I did have a guy that kind of tried to stump me the other day on an install. He says, well, I want to do this wirelessly. I said, well, you can and you can't. You can go wireless. You're going to have a wireless router or some kind of unit that's going to pick up the signal, but you have to go wired to the equipment at the end of the day. So there's no.
And then there's the question of power, right? So it's
exactly.
What about power? You know,
right? You have to have a switch with PoE, correct?
Yeah, speakers aren't going to have battery. I mean, maybe you could run. Well, yeah, but you're right. I don't think there's any such thing as true wireless because of the power aspect of it, especially in commercial audio. But yeah, going into the future, I see this as the future. I see networked audio. You know, if you look at things like even in studio recording and stage audio and things like that, where you're mixing like 64, even 128 channels on Dante. You know, I'm sure you're familiar with Dante.
Of course,
that's a network solution. But as a brand, as a company, and as an industry, that's where we're going towards, and it just makes total sense. Not only the fact that you're able to access these systems remotely, and there's much more freedom of control in that sense, but there's also much more flexibility over think about it, 128. I don't even know what the max is for Dante, but it might even be beyond that. Channels of simultaneous. Am I saying that right?
Simultaneous.
Streaming audio, 128 channels over one cable of in a sense, one wrapped cable of audio one time. I mean, that's insane.
Well, it's like you said, you're cutting down the cables, simpler cabling solution. So, yeah, it sounds good. Well, I mean, that's all I have for you, man. It seems like you know this pretty well.
Yeah, and one thing we didn't mention is the horn unit, which we briefly mentioned. That's our one of our first products into the IP speaker realm, and it does a lot for paging solutions, announcements. We see it being used in the integration sector with security systems and things of that nature. But the power of DSP when it comes to digital and networking audio is also ginormous, and you could do so much with it, and I love it. It's just so flexible going forward. Andy, great questions, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Great answers, man. Absolutely.
Anything else you want to add?
Couldn't stump you, man. No, I'm good. You got me. Everything I was looking for.
All right, guys. That does it for this episode. We hope you enjoyed it. We just did a little switcheroo there in terms of the questions. Next week, be on the lookout for a brand new podcast as well. Like I said, every single week. I guess Andy's probably joining me next week as well. Andy's our special guest of the month.
All right. Flavor of the month.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. And going forward, we're trying to get, maybe Andy and myself with somebody else. We're trying to get more people involved here, more integration. And with that being said, Andy, take care of yourself. I'm checking out. Enjoy your evening. Take care.
You're good.